looks like we are getting ready for the burning of the books that need to be burned. While others burn Qurans,
I think this thing's going to burn really well because it's full of holes.
we're burning the number one conspiracy theory that exists in our modern world.
It's full of more lies than the Quran, more lies than the Bible, more lies. I mean, it's one of those things because, you know, people want to point fingers at religious groups. They want to point fingers when we should point the fingers at this book that put out the lies in the first place, that got people hating each other. That's why we're setting fire to this book. This book needs to be called out for the lies that it truly is. The 9/11 Commission report. It was a lie, and even the people that were involved with this book say that they were stonewalled, that they weren't given enough information, and that they too were very, very unhappy about how this book came out. So this is the book to burn.
Lies, all lies, and deceptions, and omissions. Lie by omission, that's how it's done. They leave out Sybil Edmonds' testimony. They leave out the critical facts, Clyde, that they don't want us to even know about.
I know that. They left all those facts out, and they continue to leave the facts out, and we're going to send a message to those guys that want to burn the Quran, to those guys who want to burn, you know, the flag. Both Muslims and Christians and Jews need to know this book was the book that started the lies in the first place, and this book is the book that needs to be taken away. And everybody knows this, including those who are involved with this book. They say that this book was a lie.
I think we have to immediately recognize that this is a PR stunt, and burning books, any kind of book, is ridiculous. But that's, I think, this reaction to what we've seen in the media is this hysteria. And they use these things to keep us in our divisions. You're left and I'm black and you're white and liberal and Democrat and Christian, and all those things keep us fighting amongst ourselves. And we never look at who's causing these problems. And I feel we're all being so geared into tearing each other apart that we're never going to look up and see these folks who are really causing these problems. So again, I think using this hysteria in the media right now, we're basically trying to monkey wrench this system and ride this media hysteria and bring it back to the blank check that's led to everything that we've seen for the last 9 years.
And then we've got to look at Philip Zelikow and how he co-wrote a book with Condoleezza Rice several years ago before this book was even authored. It's not an independent investigation from Thomas Hamilton to the other individuals involved in this investigation to Philip Zelikow. Not only was 9/11 an inside job, this whole investigation was controlled from the inside out. The Bush family controlling those that are even on that particular panel.
Another thing that I want to say too is that, you know, even though we all believe in some way, shape, or form that 9/11 was an inside job, you take people like Glenn Beck and Sarah Palin, they look at this as an inside joke. $275 to see Glenn Beck in Alaska and drink beer on the day at 9/11 when people died. You know, they tell me to have a moment of silence. I'm not going to have a moment of silence anymore. I'm speaking out for those that died on that day. I am no longer going to be silent about injustice and tyranny and rights being taken away. There is no reason to be silent. There's no reason to bow your head. It's every reason to talk about this and the lies that are being spun. That's what needs to be done.
And it goes on and on and on. It's just...
I want people to know that 9/11 is a lesson to be learned, not something to celebrate or keep holy. It's something that we need to learn from. And I hope we do. I hope we learn from this. I hope we understand what it all means. And today we are burning and taking out and showing our utter disdain for lies. And we're not harming anybody. We're not harming any religious beliefs. Maybe we're tapping into people's political beliefs, but you know what? Political beliefs mean nothing now, because we've all been leveled to one level. And if we end up fighting amongst each other, we will all be equal. You know where the equality will be? In the graveyard. Do you want that? Do you want to be equal in the graveyard? Because all you need is 6 feet of dirt to make everyone equal. All you need is one big nuclear bomb to turn everybody into charcoal. And charcoal's equal. Charcoal's fair. And that's where they see it. They see a scorched earth policy as policy for the new century. And that's not what I believe in.
Let's get back to this book for a second, okay? I mean, this is the biggest farce in American history are one of the biggest farces. I mean, think about it. More money was spent on investigating Bill Clinton's stains on a little blue or red dress than the money that was spent on this. I mean, what's more important to us as a people? What? I mean...
Go ahead.
That's the thing. And again, I think we want folks to know that this is a silly PR stunt, but we want to use the hysteria to kind of bring folks back around to seeing what we're really talking about here. Clyde, I think you mentioned most of the commissioners have all admitted on the record that they were underfunded. They felt like they were being stonewalled by the Pentagon. They weren't getting at the truth. Max Cleland called it a quote-unquote national disgrace. So if they don't believe it, why should we?
And this is about many races on the planet coming together seeking the truth. Whites, blacks, Hispanics. My father is from Afghanistan. My father was born in Kabul, Afghanistan. And today, he works alongside the Marines, helping them translate to the people in Afghanistan, helping them find their targets. And so what's happening now is not just people in our country that have been lied to. We have people from Afghanistan. We have people from Iraq that are actually working alongside the Marines because money corrupts. If you give someone enough money, they will sell out their own people. And so there's so much dirty money that's involved in this. We're concerned in reality about the next 9/11. If they have so many people in this country by the millions convinced that this event was hatched up by Osama bin Laden, a former CIA asset, 19 Arab hijackers turning our country not only into a police state but causing the deaths of millions of people, if we're to believe that, we might be willing to believe the next lie that they have planned to launch us into the next war. And that's really what we're concerned about. If this is allowed to go on and people are believing these fairy tales, who knows what they'll believe next.
Here, hold this, James, would you? I don't know about anybody else here, but I'm here to seize back my own cognitive liberty. I mean, anytime a politician wants something of us, they use the magic words of 9/11. Okay, I want to invite everybody else to stand here where I am and say something. Say something about how you feel. Say anything, just talk. So here.
Do that. Who wants the microphone? Somebody take it, please. Somebody can. Somebody other than me.
We all have a right to be educated. We all have a right to be empowered through being educated. Ignorance is not bliss. People need to pay attention. And if this is definitely a newsworthy thing for them to show up today and it makes the news tonight, I hope somebody will stop in between whatever they're doing and really focus, because as stated earlier, it's not a reason to sit still and be quiet. It's a reason to take action, forward motion, or nothing is going to change.
Yes!
But this is really a spiritual movement for us, not a political one, because we're coming together out of love for our fellow man. This isn't a political agenda that we're connected with. We're connected. Since 9/11 happened, a lot of our lives have changed. A lot of our lives were different before 9/11. Some people knew about some of the shenanigans the government was involved in, but until 9/11 happened, a lot of us were living in the other life, the past life. But now that 9/11 has come and gone, we have a responsibility. No matter if there are consequences, no matter if there are problems at our jobs or relationships, we still have to speak out the truth. We live in a world where people want to censor people based on what they say or judge them based on what they say, and we can't listen to those fears any longer about what's going to happen to us if we speak out. There are far too many people that live in the box of fear, thinking the government is going to put them on a list and come after them if they speak about something differently. The reality is we do have to talk about it, because everybody here knows that lives in Portland that we have more aircraft that flies over the city that's military based, and that's all done under the guise of preventing the next 9/11 from happening, when in reality we have the federal government coming into Portland, Oregon, acclimating us to these exercises, top off for what took place in October 2008, the black helicopter flyover. It's all getting us used to Marines training within our own city. The question is, what are they training for? So by looking at 9/11, we can see how this is the pretext they have used to completely transform our society into something that resembles Nazi Germany, something that resembles Mussolini's fascism. It's something that represents an evil that we've seen in the last century before. The Reichstag fire. Things of that nature.
Gulf of Tonkin.
I just want to say, too, you know, when I talked about how they want us to be silent, they want us to take a moment of silence. You can have your empty silence. You can have your empty silence about Nagasaki and Hiroshima. You can have your empty silence about the downwinders that were exposed to the nuclear fallout from the testing of all the nuclear bombs. You can have your silence about the war machine. You can have your silence about those that died at 9/11. You can call it hallowed ground and you can jump and scream and shout, but it's not hallowed ground. Those people were murdered on that day. They were murdered. And they were murdered because someone looked away. Someone kept silent. Someone was silent at the controls. They didn't say scramble the jets. Someone was silent in government when people wrote about their intentions in the manifesto known as the Project for the New American Century, when they stated that we needed a new Pearl Harbor to justify an increased military-industrial complex. No one made any mention of the fact that these men threatened Bill Clinton, that these men threatened our government and threatened our way of life. And they put their intentions down in a book, and they sold it to you, and you bought it, and they put it in a movie, and they put it on a song, and they put it in the media for you to be afraid of. This was a spectacle for the sole purpose of taking away rights from human beings and actually declaring a prolonged war. This war has lasted longer than any of the wars in history, from World War I to World War II, and now we're 10 years, 9 years, it doesn't matter how many years, 1 year, 6 months, 2 weeks, 2 days is too damn long. Why stay silent? Use your voice as a weapon of choice. Use your methods to talk to people and tell them. It's no longer a matter of 9/11 truth now. It is a matter of 9/11 truth won. We are winning. We are getting to the people and telling them, no more in your face. We need to help the first responders. We need to get the message out there. We need to get behind projects that are helping people, rather feeling good about what has happened and healing. It's about healing, not going and getting into people's faces and saying, why don't you believe? Why don't you believe? Look, people feel uneasy. The main ingredient here is hate. And the more hate they can generate, and the more that they tell people to keep silent, the more we get nothing accomplished. Speak out, talk, be there, be in the moment, and live a great life and heal. Please, we need to heal. Don't let the shadow of those towers ruin our lives. We're holding on to something that's just destroying us. And it's something called reverse causality. We are told what our future is going to be, and so we're acting as though we're doomed in the present. And I'm tired of it. This is what we're doing today to try and send a message. Thanks.
I think 9 years later, ultimately, we kind of have won the battle for the hearts and minds of folks. If you ask people if they believe the official story, no, they probably think they were lied to, but they maybe don't want to know further. My take is that if you believe the official story, even if you believe the commission report, why don't they take care of the first responders? If you believe that we should be in Afghanistan or Iraq, why don't they even take care of the soldiers when they come home? If you believe these official stories, why don't they even follow through? Our government, who claims to care about the folks, once they're used up in the wars, they don't even take care of you. You have a pre-existing condition, and we're not going to take care of you. So if the commissioners don't believe the report, why should you? And if they're not even taking care of our soldiers and our first responders and the folks that were heroes, why should we?